I know you could have been at different places. It's a beautiful day today. And, just feels good on the outside, but thank you for coming out and just worshiping with us. We got a good lesson again, kind of technical in some points. We've been on the journey with King who? King David. King David's rise to the leadership. On last time, he has been installed as leader over the northern portion, actually the southern portion of Judah, and we're trying to get him over all of it. So that's the process that we're in. And remember, God is using all of these things for his glory. David is not ready yet to take over the whole kingdom, and we're going to see some character flaws. I don't know how deep we're going to get into it tonight, but we have picked up a lot of character flaws in David, but he still loved the Lord. And that's encouraging to us because we're not perfect. All have sinned and fallen short. But God still wants us to strive to be like him. And by the Holy Spirit, he enables us to do that. So as we jump in, Brother Goins, before you get into that juicy thing, can you read 2 Samuel chapter 2, 8 through 11, please?
But Abner, the son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, brought him over to him, and he made him king over Gilead, over the Asherites, over Jezreel, over Ephraim, over Benjamin, and over all Israel. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel. He reigned for 2 years. Only the house of Judah followed David. At that time, David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months.
All right. We just wanted to kind of summarize where we were from last time. David is in charge of half the kingdom. And who's in charge of the other half? Ishbosheth. We talked about that there's going to become another leadership problem later on, and it's going to be with Mephibosheth. That is Jonathan's son that's still alive. So we're going to deal with him later on. But now we're dealing with Saul's son that we haven't even seen. Remember, we don't even know where this Ishbosheth came from, but he is in leadership at this point, and David has to deal with him. Notice as we jump into the next part, because when you have a divided leadership, struggles have to be worked out. And we're going to see how they dealt with it at that time. Someone read 12 and 13, please.
Now Abner the son of Ner and the servants of Ishbosheth the son of Saul went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab the son of Zerah and the servants of David went out and met them by the pool of Gibeon. So they sat down, one on one side of the pool and the other on the other side of the pool.
All right, I want to kind of get our mind. This is a saga, a drama being played out. We've got two sides. We've got David's side. Who is his military leader? Joab. We've got Ishbosheth's side. Who is his military leader? Abner. Keep that name in your mind. Abner. Because he's going to come up more. Abner is very smart, very intelligent, very strategic, all of these things in one. And technically, if he had the bloodline, he should be the king. And he knows it. Okay, so we need to keep the mindset. When we look at Abner is just not under the leadership of Ishbosheth, but he actually has a plan. He's working this thing out because he wants to lead the country. So keep that in mind. Notice they come together, and we've got two opposing factors. We've got Joab, we got Abner, and where are they sitting at? Yeah, there's a pool, and they're upset with each other, okay, because they want to be in charge. Remember, the country is split down the middle after King Saul's death. So now they're just sitting and looking at each other. Now, there's something that we need to realize. These parties are cousins and even brothers. All right? And that lets you know something. Some of the worst fights that I've seen have been among cousins and brothers and sisters divided. Think about our Civil War. It was against brothers and sisters, cousins fighting against each other. So this becomes very problematic because sometimes people can fight and they don't even know why they fight. and we've got to deal with that issue. Oftentimes, the only reason people get into issues like this is because they're following someone else. And in church, we deal with these issues. People upset with somebody else, they don't even know why. And you follow it back because grandpa fell out with somebody and they Hatfields and McCord. They've been fighting ever since. Don't know why. It's just because they got different last names. So this whole process, they're sitting there on the one side of one pool, or one side of the pool, and the other on the other side. Someone read 14, please.
Elijah said to Joab, let the young men now arise and compete before us. And Joab said, let them arise.
Now this is key. Abner proposes something. Someone read that commentary, please.
Seated at the opposite sides of the pool, they decided to let some of their young men engage in a contest to determine who was militarily superior.
What do you think about this? Bianca says stupid.
But that's what men
I knew that was gonna come up somehow.
But that's what men in military combat do. They go against each other to see who's more superior.
All right, this is a testosterone thing. Men, we just came out of Men's Day, and there's something about this, but the key issue is Abner says, let's work this out amongst the men. We want to see who can fight the best. So we're going to put out, Abner doesn't get out there, Joab doesn't get out there, at least at this point, but he puts out those who are under him. Okay, be careful of that. Oftentimes the leadership, they don't want to get their hands dirty, but they'll send somebody else. And that makes you just as guilty. Very important. Tyler.
Who's Joab? Was he with David when he was in the wilderness?
Correct. Joab is David the leader, his military leader. Very close to David. All right. Notice this process as it continues on. Let them arise. The command has been put forth. Verse 15. Someone read.
So they arose and went over by number, 12 from Benjamin, followers of Ishmael, the son of Saul, and 12 from the servants of David.
All right. 12. Where do we see the number 12? 12 tribes of Israel. And where else? 12 disciples. It's a complete number. Okay, anytime you see the number 12, usually it's pointing to that symbol of completeness. So they take 12 from each side and they square them off. All right? They're getting ready to fight. In essence, this is supposed to be, I believe, okay, we're going to solve everything by these 12 fighting. But we're going to see what happens. It's just not that simple, especially when they're cousins again, especially when they're brothers and sisters, or at least brothers that are fighting against one another. So 12 against 12, coming together on the northern side. Who's the northern leader? Who's the northern leader? Abner. Who's the southern leader? Joab. All right, very important. Verse 16, someone read.
And each one grasped his opponent by the head and thrust his sword in his opponent's side. So they fell down together. Therefore the place was called the field of sharp swords, which is in Gibeon.
All right, tell me what happened. Give me a detailed synopsis of what occurred here. David.
12 of them went head to head, 12 of them fell down dead, the other 12 fell down.
Wow. They had their swords, and it's an amazing. They both were trained. Remember, they're close in age or intelligence, and so they both had their swords. And in blocking each other, they both at the same time they go, "Okay, we're gonna kill," and they kill each other. All 12 fall. Senseless deaths. You think?
It's kind of like Goliath. You know, Goliath, when David killed Goliath, Goliath says, send out somebody and let it just be decided between these two men. Whoever wins, we won't have to fight no more. And this is in essence what they were, trying to say, we're going to send out kind of my best 12, your best 12, whoever wins.
But what happened? It was a stalemate. And 12, I believe as they go into this battle, we're still thinking about David coming overall. They had no idea that 24 people were going to die that quickly. You just don't. So now you've got another level. They're looking at this from both sides. 12 of our best men are dead. 12 of our men, what do we do now? Be careful what we set up. Our decisions, Abner introduced this, don't forget that. Our decisions do affect a whole bunch of people. Really, they affect a whole bunch of people. I pray for our president on a daily basis. His decision, along with Congress, the Senate, the judicial legislator, it affects lives. Even with him sending in somebody to get, Salama, what is his name?
Osama.
Yeah, Osama bin Laden. I'm sorry, that's a hard name for me. It affected so many people. Things are coming out now. The men that actually were in that and killed, they're having flashbacks and issues now. So our orders that go out do affect so many. There was some hands. Steve.
Well, it's the same thing. You can see what's happening today with just kin people. Fight this one another. Love, fight, kill.
Amen. Kin people. Steve.
Yeah, Abner was kind of like Dick Cheney, you know. He put his own son up there, but he wanted to be the puppet, he wanted to be the puppet behind the show.
Yeah.
I agree. He wants to control things, but we're going to see some things that come out later. Look at this next verse, verse 17. Did I get all the hands? Verse 17, someone read it.
So there was a very fierce battle that day, and Abner and the men of Israel
All right. They had no idea it was going to come to this point. That was going to be a simple thing. 24 people are dead. So what are you going to do? You get upset. Abner's side is upset. Joab's side is upset. And notice the description. I love the Bible because it gives, you got to take your time sometime and read these descriptions. What kind of battle was it?
Fierce battle.
Fierce. What does fierce mean?
Very tough, very charming, very long.
Yeah, it was frustrating and hot. And I think so much, it pushed it over the edge. It was bigger than just who was going to rule Israel and Judah. It was, my loved ones died. My cousins and brothers are dying here. These are family issues. And I said some of the worst fights have been with family. Blood. Blood is thicker than water or whatever. Some blood. People just upset and don't know why, but they just saw a family member. And even if the family member was wrong, they fight. I always talk about that lady on TV and her son. Everybody saw her son do it. And she said, my baby didn't do it. It's on camera for the whole world, my baby didn't do it. And so this whole process, they're fighting fiercely in this battle. The men of Israel were what? What happened to the men of Israel?
Beaten. Service of David.
Yes, this is an issue. Ishbosheth, along with, what's his name? Abner. They are being defeated. Look at this commentary. The 12 Benjamites fought the 12 men of Judah, and they destroyed each other. Since the result was inconclusive, a fierce battle broke out between the rest of the men, with the result that Abner's men were beaten and what?
This
is a problem, because I've already set it up. Abner has issues. Abner doesn't like to be beaten. Okay, so he's a strategist. He's thinking, okay, how can we turn this around? Someone read 18 and 19.
Now the three sons of Zeruiah were there, Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. And Asahel was as fleet of foot as a wild gazelle. So Asahel pursued Abner, and in going, he did not turn to the right hand or to the left from following Abner.
All right. Remember family. Don't forget this. I'm saying key words because it's important to understand this. One of Joab's brothers, the swift-footed who? Asahel. Chased Abner with the intent to kill him. Now, this has always been an amazing scripture for me because he's very quick, but also, who is he chasing?
Abner.
Abner's quick too. Okay, but this brother, one of Joab's brothers, this is going to be key. He's very quick, but he won't stop chasing the military leader. All right? They've already been defeated, but he's determined to take them out. Okay? So, he was as fleet as a foot as a wild gazelle. This guy can run. He can put it down. So no matter how fast Abner was running, Azazel was right there behind him. Okay, now that's an issue. Now notice this. It speaks a lot to our society with us being in shape, because something's going to happen here that's amazing to me. They're running at full speed, and then they have a conversation. All right, if we were running like this for our lives, you wouldn't hear anything, but this is amazing at the level that they're at. Verse 20, someone read, please.
Then Abner went behind him and said, "Are you Ashel?" He answered, "I am."
They're still running. All right, he's chasing him, wanting to kill him. He looks over his shoulder, whatever. They say you lose a step when you look over your shoulder, but he looks over, can't quite get a picture of him because he's running so fast, and he says, "Are you such and such?" Because he knows that's the brother of who? Joab, which is the leader of what? David's military thing. This is important. And because they're all cousins, they know each other. Right? They've lived in the same neighborhoods. They fought together. They know each other's strengths and weaknesses. Okay, this is key. They haven't forgot that. These are trained military guys. Verse 21, someone read.
And Abner said to him, "Take a side to your right hand or to your left, lay hold on one of the young men, and take his armor for himself." But Ashel would not turn aside and follow him.
What's going on here?
Look at somebody else.
Kill somebody else.
He didn't want to kill him, but the guy wouldn't listen.
This is amazing to me, because this is kind of like friendly fire or whatever. This, when you're against the enemy, but you don't want to kill an innocent person. But this guy, he's right there in the fight. And Abner's saying, "Okay, we got to work something out. I know you Joab's brother. We are fighting. There have been many people that have died today, but I really don't want to kill you." But he's the one that's being chased. But he's also the oldest, and he's the wisest.
And he knew he was superior.
He knew he was superior. This is key. We got to be careful. Just because you're strong and you're quick and you're fast doesn't mean that you're smart. All right? And we see the intelligence level of the one that's chasing him. He doesn't understand. I love this. At least we see the integrity of Abner. He says, "Okay, just turn to the left or right. I know you want to kill somebody today, but it's not going to be me. Get one of these younger guys." Notice what he says. "Turn aside to your right hand or to your left and lay hold on one of the young men." Okay? Because you don't know who you're dealing with. And I think even as Christians, we got to be careful. I think there are a lot of people that are talking to too many demons and too many devils, and you don't know what you're dealing with. Okay? There's some things that you just don't want to deal with, at least at the level that you are. You can't even control your eating habits, and you want to rebuke the devil. Devil, I just rebuke you in the name of... Some things you just need to leave alone, and we need to grow in the grace of God until we can control those lower level things. And here we see the same thing with him chasing Abner. He feels in his heart, "I got him. I want to get the kingpin. I want to get the big fish, and I'm not going to turn to the left or right." But look at this next verse. Verse 22. Someone read.
So Abner said again to Asahel, "Turn aside from follow me. Why should I strike you to the ground? How then could I face your brother Joab?"
We see the heart of Abner here. He does care. He knows they're cousins and related. He knows he's Joab's brother. He's like, "Man, a lot of people have been killed today. I just don't really want to kill Joab's brother." He says it a second time. What does he tell him?
Turn aside from following me. Stop following me.
Turn aside and follow me. And then he warns him. What does he say? "Why should I strike you to the ground?" Warns him. I'm going to kill you. But again, he's being chased. This is the key. He's being chased. So the chaser feels like, "I got him." But he just doesn't understand. He's in the position of dying at the same time. And just because you run it out to somebody, it could be a setup. Anybody ever got set up? You thought you were in control, and before you knew it, you were falling. How then could I face your brother Joab? We see Abner, he does care about Joab. He respects Joab as a military leader and also as a family member of Israel. It seems that Abner realized that he could easily kill Asahel, but he did not want to do it because it would further antagonize Joab. All right, he understands a lot is going on, but I want to do this in the right way, if there's a right way. Verse 23, someone read.
However, he refused to turn aside. Therefore Abner struck him in the stomach with the blunt end of the spear, so that the spear came out of his back, and he fell down there and died on the spot. So it was that as many as came to that place where Asahel fell down and died stood still.
2 warnings. Kept coming. Bible's very graphic here. Abner struck him where? Right, in the stomach, because he was right on him. But what's the blunt end?
Without the spear.
They're running at such a pace, and Abner is so strong. He's actually able to assault someone running from them in the rear with the blunt end of his spear. Now that's a hit. That's a hit. He hits in the soft part, but it's still a very strong hit. But he had warned him, and Asahel doesn't understand. He didn't know that Abner had this move. But Abner knew that he had this move. Philip.
The thing about it is, if Abner is running forward and he throws the spear backwards, he would have to go faster than throwing the spear backwards, at faster the speed of whether it's Asahel running forward, so it would be equal to him, so it would hit him. But then more than that, you would have to throw the spear harder than him running forward and Asahel running after him.
I think it's a simple, we see what happens here. He actually stops.
He stops?
He stops. He did that. He did that. All he had to do was slow down. All he had to do was slow down. Because they're running so quick. Look at this next part. So that the spear came out of his back. So we see the force here. It seems like he slowed down or stopped real quick. He has the spear behind him, goes through his stomach. Well, Asahel is still running. So what? We all know it. Car accidents, you gotta have a, that continues on, it goes through him, comes out his back, and he fell down there on the spot, and he died.
I said there had to be force from both ends for that to occur, so he impaled himself upon the spear.
Correct.
Yeah, he was running like this. The sharp end of the spear is that way, and the guy behind him, and he came back like that and went through his stomach and came out his back.
Yeah. Come right out. So it's a gruesome death. I see what job you're looking at. It was so bad that Asahel, as he's laying there, people saw him, they were like, whoa. I mean, this was a gruesome death. Was this death justified? Was this death justified? Anybody? And why? Angela.
My dad used to say a hard head makes a soft behind.
Oh, okay. All right. He wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen. Yes.
And he was going to kill Abner. He had the full intent to run after Abner and kill him. So the only way he could stay alive was to kill him.
Okay.
I don't think that Abner meant to kill him. I think he meant to push him back a little bit, but because Asahel was running so hard and he was just crazy, he died. It was his own fault.
All right, Thomas said, well, he said I'm going to kill you. He knew something had to happen. Tony. But be careful when you follow the enemy.
He was throwing him off guard while he was talking to him. He had no clue the tactical maneuver that he was getting ready to do to him.
Isn't that like us in our lives? Tony, you said it great. Be careful when you follow the enemy. You may think you're on his side or you got him, but he's always got you.
Well, that's what I feel like Abner, he was well trained. He knew why he was telling him to turn aside, giving him a chance to save his life, but kind of hard-headed. Keep coming after somebody that he was no match for.
You're right. We do. And I think this is on so many levels, symbolic of our lives. We're told over and over, don't do this. Don't do this. But yet, we think that we got it. It's not gonna be us. It's not gonna happen to us. Bianca, she gets on me. You know, I've gotten better with my texting and driving and answering emails and, hey, no, it's illegal. I got better with it. I'm telling you, I'm confessing my faults. I got better with it. And she said, it only takes one time.
Yes.
It only takes one time. So now, if I'm in an accident, y'all say he was texting. No, it was y'all that were doing it. But anyway, it only takes one time. And we can think that we're in control, but be totally out of control. So this whole process, he's warned twice, and he dies. And it's because, and we've got to tell our children, we got to tell ourselves, all it takes is one time. All it takes is one time. Was there some hands?
Listen to yourself say that. I mean, I know we all do things we shouldn't, but that's really dangerous.
It is. So is overeating. So is drugs.
It's not quite the same, you cannot, no.
Yeah,
No. Because if you don't think you're gonna kill yourself, if you text and drive, you can kill a whole lot of people.
You sure can. You sure can.
But you working on it.
I'm working
We're
on
praying
it.
for
Just like y'all working on y'all skills, right? All right. Yes, go ahead. Just kidding.
I'm gonna get you out there. But, you asked the question, was his death justified? I don't think his death was justified. I mean, even though Ed said a hard head makes a soft spot, something like that. But anyway, if he had not, I mean, he initiated this whole thing. The guy would never been chasing him if he hadn't started it from the beginning. So he's the culprit, no matter what, even though he is victorious in this instance where he kills the guy. But he's the culprit of the whole thing.
And I think she hits a point there. We're going to deal with it a little later. Remember who introduced this challenge? It was Abner. Okay, and our consequences of our decisions, however, there is a connection with every decision that we make. It does affect everybody. Little, big, or whatever, it does affect somebody else. Very important.
And we were very upset too about him killing those 12 people. So how come we're not as about the 12 people that how come we're not as upset about him killing this one person?
Good point.
13 now.
Big.
The 12 people basically volunteered to go and fight. When the challenge was made, they went, you know, Abner and Joab, you know, selected 12 people. They went willingly to fight for their cause. I mean, like Pastor said, Abner was the one who introduced it, but they went of their own free will and they died. The guy was chasing Abner. Abner told him to stop. He told him to turn aside. You know, I don't want to strike you to the ground. And he kept following him. So if Abner would have stopped, the guy would have killed him.
Okay,
So,
all right.
I mean, you know, really, if he would have stopped, you know, he would have killed him. So
And if the two
he
guys
told
had
him
been fighting,
twice.
they would have killed each other too.
All right. We needed a woman in this, right? That's what
Yes.
you're saying. Yes, ma'am.
If the two groups had not been fighting, they would have killed each other too. They were fighting to the death, no matter what, because they're warriors.
Well, they set that up. I mean,
You gotta, yes, ma'am.
I don't think that it was justified, only because when you said like he was wiser, I feel like that goes back to like parents or like older siblings. They're not gonna kill you, but they're gonna do something that makes you realize, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done this. So I don't think he had to have killed him, but he could have done so. If you're strong enough to do this maneuver, you could have done something else that could have, you know, hurt him a little bit, but still not have killed him.
Okay, all right.
Wounded him, but not killed him. That's
So now we're at what our whole country is dealing with now. How much force should be used? You know, it's amazing what the Bible challenges on a lot of points. How much force is authorized in this point? And we see, we've got Deacon Kelly's like, yeah, he should have killed him. Captain like, well, he was just a little boy and he didn't know, and all of these things, this occurrences, the men shouldn't have been in the battle in the first place because the choice, but it all comes down to choices. Look at this next part, 24 and 25, as we get into a little bit more understanding. Anybody?
Joab and Abishai also pursued Abner, and the sun was going down when they came to the hill of Ammon, which is before Giah, by the road to the wilderness of Gibeon. Now the children of Benjamin gathered together behind Abner and became a unit and took their stand on top of a hill.
The chase is still on. Joab has lost a brother. Now you know he's upset. He's really upset now. His brother's dead. Pretty much understands that Abner did it. And look, they've been chasing until the sun was going down. I mean, this is a serious chase. The children of Benjamin, they get behind Abner, the opposing side, the losing side, and they became a what? A unit, okay? They stand together. They take their stand on where? Hill, high ground. Very important, high ground. So that means that David's people, Joab, are going to have to fight uphill against them. Nobody wants to do this, okay? The strategic point is always high ground. Don't forget that. Verse 26, I'm going to read.
Then Abner called to Joab and said, shall the sword devour forever? Do you not know that it will be bitter in the latter end? How long will it be then until you tell the people to return from pursuing their brother?
Abner, very strategic. He's like, I'm getting tired of y'all chasing me. We've lost a lot of men. I've got the high ground. Now we can talk. Okay, let's think about what is going on. Someone read that commentary. Go ahead, Senator.
Joab and his other brother Abishai continued to chase until they came to the hill of Ammah. There Abner pled with Joab to stop this needless civil war.
But who started it?
And he realized he got into something more than he thought.
Abner started it. He introduced the thought pattern. Let the young men fight. You know, we'll kind of, and it exploded. We just got to be careful with the things we start. We just really do, because we can get in trouble really quick.
Maybe it was a tactical maneuver on his part and vicious. He offered his own men up because he knew he was superior. So he got their men out of the way. But he realized after they had been weakened, he would still be strengthened. But he didn't necessarily know they were going to run after him. But,
Okay.
you know, he's still in control.
Okay.
Just a thought.
All right. Yeah.
I see why everyone is saying it's Abner's fault, and I agree with that. But I think you have two parties. It's kind of like two gangs, and they're mad at each other. And everybody knows something is going to go down. Somebody's going to fire the first shot. Somebody's going to throw the first spear. So I think Abner was saying, instead of everybody just going at it, let's try to do this somewhat civilized. You take 12 and I take 12. And he was hoping that that would be enough and it would end. I think this was Abner's way of trying to kind of calm everybody down, but instead it wound up blowing up in his face. But I don't think Abner was just trying to fight. Everybody was already upset. Everybody was already ready to fight. And so he was trying to come up with the most peaceful way so that people could fight and go home. But that's not what happened.
All right. So, thought. Yes, ma'am.
I want to relate it to what's going on in Baltimore right now, where the police started something by not, handling the situation right with the person who passed away in police custody, and now they're rioting, and now the police are saying, well, no, we need to be civilized. We gave you all time to protest, but now that you're rioting and looting, it's getting out of hand. So that kind of gets to this situation too.
The initial decision, we can't get past that, and Catherine was hooked on that, and she has a very good point. He introduced this. Even if it meant well, good intentions, but we could be dead wrong. And this is where he is right now. I mean, look at his reasoning at this point. Shall the sword devour forever? Do you not know that it will be bitter in the latter end? Now, he's speaking to Joab. Remember, Abner is on the losing side now. All right, he's lost the most men at this point. How long will it be then until you tell the people to return from pursuing their... Yeah, there's a eureka, and I'm hoping that at the 12, he was hoping it would stop there, but still, there's been mass death at this point. There was a hand.
Yeah, at some point though, something had to happen, because you had Abner and Joab. Neither one of them were king, but they were two supreme leaders.
Right.
And David is the king, Saul is dead, and Abner has kind of went above and beyond what he should have did in getting Saul's son and, you know, putting him in line. People got behind him because the son had the bloodline of Saul.
Right.
But Abner was kind of out of line by doing that, but something had to happen to bring things together. As long as Abner was alive and Joab was alive and David, they just couldn't work.
Something had to change. Did I get all the hands? Look at that next verse. Someone read, please.
And Joab said, as God lives, unless you had spoken, surely then by morning all the people would have given up pursuing their brother.
This is interesting. Go ahead, brother. Read that commentary because it does leave some questions.
Joab's reply may be understood in two ways. First, it may mean that if Abner had not issued the original challenge in verse 14, then the young men would have gone home peaceably. Or it may mean, as in the NIV, that if Abner had not called for a truce, then the young men would have continued chasing their brethren until morning.
What do you think? What do you think? Which one? It's in the Hebrew, it's hard to interpret. It can be both ways. What do you think the intent was? You think it's the first one? That if he had never started it, it would have been okay. All right, anyone go for the second one? The first one. All right, I kind of lean into the first one in some senses too. This whole process here that he did start. He was that original giving that challenge.
But they could have ended it with the 12 guys and they see 12 people, well, 24 people dead. They could have gone, well, it's a truce. Why don't we all go home? But no, Joab decided we go kill all of them. And somewhere in his brain, they were obviously planning stuff. Because why would Asahel go after somebody that he knows he can't fight unless they were at the dinner table? They're going, yeah, I bet anybody in this table could beat up Abner if we just tried. And now he's dead too. So obviously Joab had a part in this.
That's right.
To me, I look at this like the sister was talking about Baltimore. You know, she said everything that's happening right now, but recently, they got 3 gangs that all of a sudden united together, and they're going to go against the cops. So now the cops are going to be, but it's going to go crazy against those gangs, because a lot of them just got those little pistols and maybe some automatic weapons or sort that they stole from somewhere. But they're going to dead them out. A lot of them going to die, and then it's going to be a big problem in Baltimore. But you know, it's just like that. One says something and then the other one says that. But evidently nothing stops. It just keeps going. Just keeps going till somebody dies.
Relationships, marriages, friendships have been broken because somebody started something and nobody wanted to say I'm sorry. Just kept pursuing it and it got bigger and bigger. Look at this, and this is kind of a personal introspective. I want you to really think about it. What things have you started that you wish you had never been touched?
Or so many of them, I don't know where to stop.
Never started it. Never started it. I teach with the kids, don't open up love before it's time. That's scripture. If you ain't ready, I feel that you're ready to get married. No, sir. Leave it alone. Leave it alone, because once we open up those things, it's the Pandora's box. Any amen in that? Amen. Some stuff, just leave it alone.
I'm dealing with a girlfriend of mine who invited her daughter-in-law and son to go back in their house for a short time. And now there's some issues going on within the home, and this girl is, saying, well, I'm not so sure that if my husband may be looking at his daughter-in-law, I don't want that to get started, and I'm gonna knock the devil out before it gets started. I said, well, you invited her in the house. You invited the whole situation. So that same thing, what are you inviting in your house in your house and your life that you wish you hadn't? And I think, she said it today, I wish I had never done that. She should have let them stay in their apartment and work it out.
Consequences. We see them over and over again. Remember, the biggest thing, we're trying to get David as leader, but there's going to be consequences, and we're going to see David with consequences. But the wonderful thing, God has so much grace, because he should have just killed all these people. Because remember, they all stiff-necked, hard-hearted, just like we are. They had an issue with following God anyway. Remember, there's something that we kind of left out in this whole picture. There's been no prayer. Did you see Joab and Abner pray, Lord, should we fight? We saw that before. David was known for his prayer. God, should we go out? God, should we do this? But we're going to get in a period, they don't pray anymore. They go with what feels right, and we're going to see a lot of death that's coming out of this. Very important to know. Did I get all the hands? Verse 28, please. Tabitha.
Where is David?
Where is David? David's probably at home chilling and resting. We don't see him in this. All we see is his military leaders at this point, as well as we don't see Ishbosheth. Okay, but he's going to come back in very soon. Verse 20. Go ahead, Saram.
Jews still pray before they go to battle to this day. So don't say nobody pray. They pray. I'm talking about this
These
guy's
did
out
pray.
there with all kind of stuff on him, and you blowing that old horn.
And I guess the key, Serena, brings out a point. We may pray, but do we follow?
Right.
Right? Do we wait for God to answer us? Look at this verse 28. Someone read, please.
So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still and did not pursue Israel anymore, nor did they fight anymore.
I love the leadership. I love the allegiance that you see in these armies. They understand where they are, their position. Joab, he blows the trumpet, everybody stops. It's just amazing to me. I mean, they're at the heat of battle, willing to lay down their lives, kill people. The trumpet goes off, it's over. It's like they, okay, put the swords, and then they turn around and go home. This is just amazing to me because we have these hierarchy, and people sometimes they follow blindlessly, allegiance, however you want to look at it. But our choices affect so many people, and as leaders of your family and your home and your schools, whatever position you have, your choices do affect people, and be aware of that. That's why we need to be always in prayer. That's what the scriptures say, because one decision, could tear up somebody's life. I counsel a lot of people, and it usually comes from one decision of a family member. Something a mom and dad said that we couldn't do this anymore, and they walked off, and now their children are dealing with dysfunctionalism simply because they don't know how to interact. They don't trust anybody. One decision. One decision. Look at this next two verses, 29 and 30. Someone read.
Then the Ammon's men went on all that night through the plain, crossed over the Jordan, and went through all Babylon, and they came to Mahanaim. So Joab returned from pursuing Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, there were missing of David's servants 19 men in Ashdod.
Now, it seems to indicate, if we take the numbers literally, that the 19 included the 12. So he had 12 initially to die in that pool, and then how many more after the pool?
7 more plus next year.
How many?
8 total.
Okay.
7 in Asher.
All right, 7 in Asher, which is pretty amazing when we look at the numbers of the other side. 12 died initially, and 7, and with plus Aziel, which his life could have been saved if we would just follow that advice. So again, were the deaths of these men justified? What do you think? Still with Catherine's side? Still with Deacon Kelly's side? All right, I'll let you think about it. Verse 31, someone read.
But the servants of David had struck down of Benjamin and Abner's men, 360 men who died.
What can we learn from this?
David was a mighty man of war, and he had his people trained.
He had favor. Remember, I don't want you to forget, God is still shining his blessings on David because he's going to become the military leader of the whole country. And it shows here, he only lost 19 men to what? 360. Just in that short amount of time, 360. It also shows how good Abner is. And I want to keep that in your mind. That 360 of Abner's men died, but Abner didn't die. And he had the swiftest one following him, he still didn't die. This is very key and critical to understanding what's coming. Abner is a key player, okay? He has a sense God's grace upon his life. Don't forget that. Look at this final verse of the night, verse 32. Someone read, please.
Then they took up Asherah and buried was in Bethlehem, and Joab and his men went all night, and they came to Hebron at daybreak.
They gotta clean up. Someone's lost a brother, a cousin. Specifically, we see Asahel, Joab's brother. Joab, the leader, even though he only lost 19, one of them was his brother. This is heavy. This is going to haunt Joab. Don't forget this. Keep it down. Put a note in your mind. Joab is never going to forget that, what's his name? What's his name? Abner killed his brother. Don't ever forget it, because he's not going to forget it. His brother was killed by Abner. No matter what he says, no matter all these things that we're going to deal with, he's never going to forget that. I want to leave us on this thought. If you don't forgive, it's going to fester, and it's going to affect your decisions in the future. Subconsciously, many of you don't even know why you're making decisions you make. But if you don't let things go, if you don't allow God to cleanse you, just as Joab and Abner are going to have to deal with this, it's going to fester and eat at you. And eventually it's going to be resolved one way or the other. And that one way or the other is going to be death. Amen. All right? Don't forget. Let's study ahead. We're going to get in here. I want you to follow the details of David. Let's learn from David's mistakes, from Abner's mistakes, and from Joab's mistakes, so that we don't make those mistakes. And thank God for Jesus. Amen. Amen. Deacon Lenny, you close it out. Come on, come to your feet. Let's make a circle.
Well, y'all make a circle. I'd like to just thank everyone for stopping what you're doing this night and coming out to this great lesson that we had tonight. I hope that everyone